Good day to all the AVIAPRENEURS joining us today. This is Adnan Baranbo, and this is a new episode of AVIAPRENEURS podcast. My guest for today is an aviapreneur from Bulgaria with his brother, Svilen Rangelov. They are the founders of Dronamics, a fast-growing drone company on a mission to enable same-day delivery of air freight for everyone, everywhere. Originally, Svilen has an economics degree from the US, and he's a speaker in the international forums on UAV, unmanned aircraft systems, aviation, and air cargo mobility. Thank you for joining me today, Svilen.
Thank you for having me.
So, Dronamics is on a mission to enable same-day delivery of air freight for everyone, everywhere, which makes the air freight accessible, affordable, and lower in CO2 emissions. This is a very bold vision. How do you plan to make this vision a reality with Dronamics?
Well, honestly, we think that being bold is how you innovate. And if I go back to the origin of our story, when we had that light bulb moment that eventually led to Dronamics, it all boils down to us wanting to solve a very simple problem, like how to get a package across Europe or across long distances at a very competitive price, very quickly and very cheaply. And it was a time when my brother, he was an aerospace engineer. He was really complaining how getting things sent across Europe was too expensive, took too long. He even asked me, like, when would be the next time you would visit me here in the Netherlands? And at the time I was in Bulgaria, so 2,000 plus kilometers away. I said, you know what, let's if you build a drone that can cross the distance, I'll just send stuff for you. And we were toying really with the idea, and as having studied economics, I was digging into data from the World Bank, and one thing came up over and over again, and that's that improving the logistical infrastructure, the supply chain of a given country has a better impact on that country than any other political or economic policy that the country could make. So no matter how much you do the usual IMF playbook of privatize everything, lower tariffs, remove tariffs, lower taxes, and so on, nothing really has that same impact as if you simply allow, goods to flow seamlessly and quickly across a country or a region. So it is, in fact, a very big mission, but it comes from the right place, that the world really, really needs this. And this can have the potential to be the biggest supply chain transformation in probably the last 100 years. So we're not afraid of bold. I think bold is what the world needs.
Mm-hmm. So the story is real. This craving for cheese was really behind establishing this revolutionary business and company.
It was, and it also speaks to the wonder of humanity. I mean, like, Netherlands is very, very popular with all kinds of different cheese that they have, yet they do not seem to have, readily available that's really special Bulgarian cheese. So again, while people in the past 100 years have sort of converged, we all watch Netflix, we all watch the same things, we all kind of culturally converge. There's still a huge variety, and variety means complex supply chains, and complex supply chains need to be simplified. So that's kind of the big driver that underpins all that.
Indeed. So let's talk about the drone itself. I see now in your background how the drone is going to look like. So, but can you explain to us how big it's going to be, how much cargo it can fly, and how long it can go?
Sure. So it's 16 meters, 16 meters wingspan, 8 meters long. It's about a ton total weight. So the size of a two-seater aircraft. Mm-hmm. We really designed it to be as versatile as a bush plane. It can land on grass, gravel on a very short runway. It just needs 400 meters to land. And that was very key in order to make it reach underserved and remote communities. In terms of capacity, it can carry 350 kilograms at a distance of 2,500 kilometers. And the reason for the payload was that's how much you can fit in a small cargo van, like a Renault Kangoo or Volkswagen Caddy. And these are the most common last mile courier vehicles. So we wanted to match one flying vehicle with one last mile courier vehicle. And then in terms of the range, we picked 2,500 kilometers because it's you can cover all of Europe in one flight. You can reach Dubai from New Delhi. You can cover the South China Sea, the Caribbean. It's just a good distance, all of the 48 states in the US. From a central point, it's just a good distance that shows up in on our planet and it covers a lot of people. So that's why we picked that range, and this puts us strictly in the middle mile segment. So regional deliveries over longer distances, where we don't necessarily compete with trucking or air freight, but we actually provide an alternative that's somewhere in the middle. So the idea is, how can you be as fast as an airplane, but as cheap as a truck? And we solve that. The other exciting thing, I guess, is because you have many, two-seater airplanes that already exist around the world. The important thing to note is, for 100 years of aviation, people always designed aircraft to have humans on board first, and cargo was always an afterthought. They thought they would just rip out the seats and put packages in, but that made airplanes very inefficient for cargo, and especially with the growth of e-commerce, where parcels are bulkier and bigger in volume actually becomes the key constraint. And when we set out to design this aircraft for this one particular mission, only to carry parcels, we realized we have a huge opportunity to optimize it and to actually give it the volume that these parcels would need. So we have a volume of around 3.5 cubic meters, so precisely for e-commerce. And when you compound all these design decisions, you reach metrics like being able to cut down delivery times by as much as 80%, your costs by more than 50%, and even CO2 emissions by at least 60% versus the traditional alternative. So we managed. That's why we kind of called it the black swan, because new technologies typically solves one thing. We managed to solve three things: save time, cost, and emissions.
Very interesting indeed. So how much approximately, if someone want to ship 350 kilograms on the drones, how much is it planned to cost?
Yeah, so the pricing depends on the market, but let's say for the maximum range, it will be around $5 $4 per pound to get from Dubai to New Delhi.
Very interesting, very interesting. And what about the energy? What kind of energy will the drone be using?
Yeah, we use we're powered by an existing engine. It's made by Rotax, so it uses gasoline. In the future, we could do synthetic fuel, and and also eventually potentially hydrogen. Electric power and batteries at the moment with the current technology is just not feasible for such long distances that we're optimized for.
Mm-hmm. I understand. And what about the operation control center? Where are you going to control these drones from? Are you going to produce it and sell it, or are you going to actually produce it and manage it yourself and provide the service to the public through your company?
Yeah, we're going to provide the service. So we're forming airlines. Our first airline in Europe just got its license several months ago. So we'll be able to start serving customers and customers in Europe. It's the first cargo drone airline license worldwide, and we're all very excited. But in every market, we'll be partnering with strong local partners in order to create local airlines. We've started relationships. We have already an airline in Australia that's undergoing licensing right now. We're setting up something in the Middle East, and so on and so forth.
So this means that the technology is already there. You already reach a stage where the drone can actually fly.
Yeah, we're very comfortable. We will be doing the test flights in a couple of months' time. So, and after that test phase, we'll be able to start the commercial service. But yeah, the airplane is ready. We're building the next units as well as we speak. We're doing structural tests and ground tests pretty much now on the machine. And yeah, we also signed up the first our first two manufacturing partners, one in Australia, Quickstep, and the other one in Europe, Cotesa in Germany. So while we are the developer of the aircraft and the operator, it will be companies like them that will be doing the manufacturing at mass scale, and we're very, very excited. So essentially, the drones for that particular market will be done on a regional basis by these manufacturers.
It makes sense to operate in this way. So this means if you're planning to actually start flying next year, you're very near to be shaving your beard, which you vowed not to cut till the drone is actually flying. That was a very brave decision.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. It was my brother's idea. When we received our first investment 8 years ago, September 2014, to not shave until the first successful test flights of the full-scale machine. We've done multiple successful test flights of small-scale units, but now in a couple of months' time, I get to shave. He gets to shave as well.
Mm-hmm. So what about financing? How easy was to finance Dronamics? This is very innovative and disruptive idea. It's something that's somehow fictional 8 years ago, but you were successful in actually raising funds for it. What's your experience with that area?
Yes, as they say, you know, overnight success, 8 years in the making. It's the funding-wise was challenging because initially when we started, we were based in Bulgaria, and we did that because the initial funding we got was just very, very small, and Bulgaria actually has great advantages. It has it offers a very low cost base to operate. So we were able to stretch our initial budget quite a bit in a way that we couldn't have done it in the Netherlands or the US, where, you know, previously my brother and I had lived. So so managing that decision then also became a result that the whole market seemed to shift to vertical technologies and electric propulsion and so on. And we saw these tremendously successful capital raises and public offerings last year for a number of companies in advanced air mobility. But it seems that the solving middle mile cargo was always so challenging that I guess most people shied away from it and left us to operate here, which is great. And it allowed us to achieve quite a bit on a very small budget. But luckily, the more we worked on it and the bigger we became, the more talent we were able to recruit and the more people we were able to align on our vision. It became more obvious for investors, and now we're at a very good place, very well funded. We'll be raising an additional amount of funding over the next few months as well. And yeah, interestingly, if I can add, because of the dynamics of the market to date, 95% of our investment comes from individuals, not funds. So, 8-digit amount comes from more than 100 angel investors from logistics, technology, and aviation from Europe, Asia, Middle East, North America. We're very lucky because they also provide a lot of value, a lot of help, and they're ambassadors for us in their fields, in their areas. So that's quite exciting, and that's what helped us quite a bit. But now we have interest from a number of venture and strategic and even sovereign funds that we're working through, and we're quite excited.
I think having individual investors maybe have made your life easier, not to be under the institutional investing pressure that startups are normally subject to.
It may have, yes. I think actually almost all of them have been entrepreneurs before. And that was important because, as you know, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. You have some amazing days and you have some really down days, but it's about the persistence and grit, and that's what all of them saw and were able to help us with. So yeah, I think I'm a huge fan of angel investing and angel investors, that they could provide quite a bit of value. At the same time, institutions have value they could add in a way that just an individual never could. And the bigger the institution, or when we talk about sovereign funds, the technology like ours could be very, very useful for a large number of countries, just to, like I said, to optimize their supply chain. So that's why we see a lot of that interest lately, and yeah, that's quite exciting. And ultimately, what I would say sovereigns and angels are like, because they operate on very long time horizons. They're in it for the mission, and that's really important, because my brother and I built this company not just for a quick exit, but actually we want to stay with it for as long as possible and go the full way.
And what about the regulatory environment? Is it actually accommodating to having drones flying without pilots? And is the regulatory environment the same all over the world? Because your drones will be flying on a regional basis. Will the regulation allow you to achieve your mission?
Well, yes, it will. The drone rules are not yet synchronized. So unlike civil aviation rules, which are very harmonized around the world, for drones, this is not yet the case. However, since 2007, a large number of countries, something like 63 countries, have been working on common drone rules. Europe was just the first one to adopt them to a large extent. And so we can definitely see a desire for quite a lot of regulators to follow suit, because these rules are very practical. A lot of countries play the part in forming them and so on. So it will be a process to get us there, but it will get there, and the rules will be the same everywhere. Again, that it helps when like if you're the type of company that the founders can grow beards for 8 years and they hate beards, we're we're gonna push for things to move quick, but we can also operate on timelines that not everyone can, would do.
Let's move on from regulation to the market. Whom do you expect the target industries and customers that are going to benefit from your technology and then the drones the most?
So in terms of markets, we've got an interest from a variety of customers, and if we can identify them by verticals, so yeah, food, perishables, like the origin story, as well as pharmaceuticals, any kind of medication, vaccines, and so on, things that need to be preserved in proper cool chain condition, as well as just mail, like postal services, newspapers. There's still a lot of people that like to have their newspaper with their at breakfast, and that needs to be delivered very quickly to many places. Spare parts is another interesting category because a whole lot of industries need urgent spare parts, from aviation itself in terms of AOGs and the tens of thousands of dollars it can cost you per hour of delay, either in compensation or opportunity costs, lease costs, and so on, to let's say mining industry, or just simple production lines in the global supply chains. Your factory breaks down, and you're on the hook for 6-digit or higher penalties per hour again. So spare parts is a very, very interesting vertical. I would say we're also very excited about fast-moving consumer goods. So not necessarily only luxury, although luxury, yes, is a big thing. But because the unit economics of our aircraft can actually offer quite a low cost service, we could create a distribution model where you don't need to stock inventory near every city if you can ship it by air over long distances at a reasonable price. So that's like consumer goods and e-commerce are the areas where we're very excited about. Especially those become very, very relevant when you go into tier 2, tier 3 cities and towns. Because let's be honest, the big cities like London, Dubai, and so on, they get, if you live in one of them, you're very lucky. You can get all your needs met in the same day. But if you live outside of them, you tend to pay for everything extra by waiting. But you don't get any extra, life expectancy to make up for that. So yeah, that's kind of what we want to equalize. And we see, just from speaking to regulators, to stakeholders from different countries, to companies, we see so many communities and people around the world that would truly benefit from this.
It's actually a lot of industries who are going to benefit from this drone. So once you have the full potential and the business is actually operating all over the world, what is the impact do you expect to see on the global air cargo and air freight industries?
Yeah, look, as big as possible. We truly believe that to be able to offer affordable, efficient, and environmentally friendly logistics is our true calling, and being able to same-day shipping should be truly accessible to all, both in a cost and availability perspective. So that's the kind of impact we're trying to build, a generational company that can serve all people everywhere and truly make their life better.
Mm-hmm. Do you expect the big current players in the air cargo industry to step into the cargo drones and be producing and operating drones themselves as well?
For sure, definitely, yes. We truly believe this is where the puck is going, as the old saying goes, and it's a matter of time. So our job is just to capture as much of the market as possible and remain the leaders that we are. And honestly, it's not a very straightforward shot from here to there. So both us and them have a lot of work ahead, and it truly pays to be the first. So we're quite comfortable.
I wish you all the best. What about your brother, Konstantin? He's an aerospace engineer and he's managing a team of, he's currently the CTO, he's your co-founder, and he's managing a team of 80 engineers in Dronamics. Having a co-founder helps any business, but at the same time, having a co-founder adds some complexities, and being a family member as well makes the complexity more. So how was the relationship between you and your brother starting, managing, and growing Dronamics?
Well, actually, we're growing quite fast. So his team by now is reaching 120 across R&D, safety, quality control, engineering, manufacturing. And these are just in several countries right now. But to your point about complexity of the interpersonal relationship, me and my brother, and this is not my first business, but it's the first one I do with my brother. Here we have actually, for us in particular, it's a huge advantage because we're absolutely 100% aligned and have always been. We were just lucky to have been brought up in the family that we were and raised that way. But yeah, so we're each other's force multiplier. So definitely the fact that we have very complementary skills and experience helps a lot. But no, there's no actual negative thing in 8 years that we have ever encountered of working with a family member. I know that's not everyone's case, but it is ours.
Amazing. You managed it very well. I wish you all the best. So, Svilen, before we close, I'm sure the aviapreneurs listening to us today would love to hear your advice and recommendation. You had an idea, and you had an idea which, at the time, you had that light bulb. It can appear as something that's not practical, not easy to achieve, but you still believed in the idea. You left everything. You bet on it. You put yourself all into that idea. And currently, less than 10 years later, the idea is coming into reality. So what advice do you give them to all the aviapreneurs who are having innovative, revolutionary ideas everywhere? What advice do you give them to do so they can transfer and move these visions into successful reality?
Well, I would say it's like you kind of alluded to it. If you're absolutely certain that you see where the puck is going, as Wayne Gretzky says, like don't go where the puck is, go where it will be. Then do everything to get there, and then the puck will get there, and you'll be correct, and you'll be proven correct. It may take longer, it may be harder, but you know what? We started the company with $25,000 of an investment 8 years ago, where there was there were no regulations. We had no team. We just had an idea and absurd belief into the rightness of our thesis, and we just kept going and going, and it snowballed into this. So I think if you're able to relay that and surround yourself with people who have the skills, the backgrounds, the experiences that can help you build that snowball, then your success is left to luck alone then. So yeah, just keep persisting and surround yourself with people that can help you see around corners.
So have a clear vision, build a team around it, and go there all together, all in. Thank you so much.
Because like look, if you're a small company against a big one, the big one has everything that you don't have. They have the teams, they have the resources, they have the money, they have the supply chain, they have the licenses and so on. But what doesn't cost money or resources is your hustle and drive. So no matter your passport, no matter where you are, it costs nothing to be persistent. So just be persistent.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Svilen. I appreciate sharing with us your story, your experience, and your vision. I'm sure everybody will appreciate and will learn a lot from talking to you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks.
I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing the Dronamics drones flying all over the world.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the AVIAPRENEURS who joined us today. I'm sure you will find this talk very interesting and very inspiring. I look forward to seeing you again next week with another successful AVIAPRENEUR and another successful and innovative aviation business venture. Have a great day.